Welcome. It is Super Bowl Sunday. It has arrived. The hype is over. The talk is over. It's time to play the game. Play the damn game. And they're going to play the game here. You can tell I'm one of the coaches here today. I feel like Andy Reid or Bruce Arians trying to pump up these teams. But yeah, it's here. It is Super Bowl 55. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Kansas City Chiefs. We have the chance to see a team repeat as Super Bowl champions. And that's when you know you're dealing with a pretty damn good football team. Of course, Tom Brady looking for another Super Bowl title in what is his 10th appearance in the Super Bowl. A lot of storylines, fascinating matchup on the field. Conor Mack and I were going to break it all down on this, our season finale edition of the Pub Sports Radio NFL Closing Time Show. We've enjoyed this show. We brought it to the airwaves, the first month or so of the regular season with Ski, Conor, and I, and we've had a lot of fun doing it. This will, of course, our final show with this being the Super Bowl. But a lot of fun. And the NFL season, and this was no different, even in the middle of a pandemic, even with games being canceled, games being moved to Monday afternoon, Tuesday night, Wednesday afternoon. We saw it all this year in the NFL. Even with this unique season in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, it flew by, and it always does. It felt like the week one of the season just kicked off like a couple of days ago. That's how quick the NFL season seems to go by. Conor, just some overall thoughts on the NFL season? Did it feel just as fast to you as it did to me?
Yeah, it just flew by, and just such a strange year with COVID, and everything's just been odd ever since the break of sports. It just nothing is normal. I don't know. I wonder when we'll really get back to normal, like normal schedule, like even like the golf or hockey was short and everything, the basketball, the bubble, and then they had to restart their season at a certain time, and shortened season. It's all been hectic. And this one thing with the NFL, they stuck to their guns and said we're going to start and play, and they did, and they went through it. I think it would have been a big uproar if the NFL wasn't going to start. People would have been pissed, but it's going, and I think the two best teams are in the Super Bowl, and hopefully we have a good one tonight. So I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to it. We will break down the side and the total first, just like we would a normal game, as we have all season. Kansas City, Tampa Bay, the teams. Right now, the current line is Kansas City -3. Although when we did the Thursday show, the prop shop show, that was -3, -120, and there were even a couple 3.5s out there. We've seen some Tampa Bay, and this is interesting because you do have, I think, a little bit of a ticket count disparity here in this game. I'm looking to see what the ticket count is here right now. It looks like 64% of the tickets are on Kansas City, in this game. 64% of the business, the tickets being written on the side for this game are Kansas City. And yet not only is this number held steady, but the juice has shifted on the -3 toward Tampa Bay a little bit. So very, very interesting. There's definitely some, I don't want to say sharp money, because how many times do we say that you think that 64% of the tickets are on one side, the other side, the line is holding steady, and maybe there's bigger money on the other side. Sharp side, I don't like saying that. I just like saying there's the big money side, because the sharp side indicates that side for sure is going to win. And that's not the case. No. Kansas City can win and cover despite the 64% ticket count. That's why I hesitate to use that term. Oh, the sharp money. Do you know it's sharp? Do you know it's going to win before the game starts? I don't. So you know what? I pump the brakes in saying that it's sharp money. But nevertheless, there is definitely some kind of big money that's being put on Tampa Bay for sure to keep this line where it is. The total is right now at 56, pretty much across the board. There was some talk about weather issues for this game. Those don't look like they're going to be the case at all anymore. Early in the week, it looked like there was going to be a pretty good chance of rain here for this Super Bowl, and it doesn't look like it's going to be any sort of a factor. We're looking at clear skies, temperatures in the 60s, slight breeze at opening kickoff here, but all of those concerns about the severe weather, the rain, the heavier winds that were kind of potential for this game early in the week, those have dissipated. So that's good news, because we don't want weather obviously playing a part here in this Super Bowl. So with that in mind, let's break it all down here. I'm going to make the case, and again, you can make 100 cases for Tampa Bay, you can make 100 cases for Kansas City. as to why they're going to win and cover. That's why they're both in the game. I just chose to make the slightly stronger case for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this game. I think the offensive line concerns for Kansas City are massive. You're talking about both starting tackles, not one, both. The left tackle, the right tackle. Eric Fisher, Mitchell Schwartz out. One of the guards not likely to play either. You're going to have 3 backup offensive linemen in the game. Jeff Saturday was on ESPN earlier this week saying the thing that's going to impact Kansas City the most with these injuries is not just obviously the ability to protect and run block, changing calls at the line of scrimmage where communication is paramount. And, you know, when you're on the offensive line, you're like an orchestra. One guy screws up, the whole thing falls apart, you know, and all of a sudden people want refunds at the concert, the Philharmonic or whatever, you know, it's kind of like that with the offensive line. One guy makes a mistake, it reverberates to the entire group. And that's what he said, you know, communication, adjustments, seeing the way Tampa Bay's defense lines up. You know, these guys are experienced in their positions. That's why they're starting left tackle and right tackle. They can make calls. They can change the protection scheme. They can change the blocking scheme based on the coverages that they're seeing across the line of scrimmage from the Tampa Bay side. Well, guess what? Communication with guys that aren't as experienced making those kind of IQ intellectual decisions on the field, especially in a pressure game like the Super Bowl, all of a sudden you've got to react to, whoa, what if Tampa Bay changes their coverage, changes their defensive look right before the ball gets snapped? It's up to these backup guards, backup tackles to be able to say, hey, guess what? This is what Tampa Bay's doing right now. We got to audible out of what play we were going to run. And that's where things can really break down. It's not so much that these guys don't have the ability to play well. They might, and they at least have the benefit of a guy very fleet of foot, is willing to roll out of the pocket, make plays on the run, Mahomes, which will help them. But it's the communication level, you know, at the line of scrimmage that has the potential to be really impacted negatively in this game here for the Kansas City Chiefs. So something to keep in mind, especially considering the Bucs pass rush has been excellent down the stretch. Jason Pierre-Paul, believe it or not, is playing like he did with Coughlin and Eli Manning, you know, a long, long time ago. They are just getting pressure, having a lot of success with it. And that's the worry against a depleted offensive line. On the flip side, you've got Tampa Bay's offense, which is rounding into form, playing their best football of the season. Brady is definitely finally found rhythm, you know, with the offense. Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich, collaborating on calling plays. They played very well. And their own pass rush has gotten better. Donovan Smith, the left tackle, has made all the difference in the world. He was injured earlier this year for Tampa. They got him back, and all of a sudden they were starting to pass protect and run block better throughout the down the stretch and into the playoffs. All of a sudden their secondary is starting to play better. They've been ball hawks led by Sean Murphy, Bunting and company, picking off Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers in the last 2 playoff victories for the Bucs going into this game. And that's going to be a little foreshadowing to one of the props I like in the game. And I'll mention, I'll be running down the props very briefly, not so much in depth. We did that a lot on Thursday, but I will mention, recap all my props that I'm on for this game at the end of the show. But yeah, bottom line is I think there's value here. And let's not forget with the Kansas City offensive line and having to change protection and communicate at the line, not only is it different guys, inexperienced now backup players at these positions having to do that. This game's in Tampa. You know, this is obviously a home game for the Bucs. Yeah, there'll be Chiefs fans there, no doubt. They're a great fan base, but there'll be more Buck fans than Chief fans at this game, and they'll be making noise. And this is the first time all season with the crowd size the way it's going to be for this game, where all of a sudden the crowd making noise when the Kansas City Chiefs have the football on offense, it's actually could make a difference. I haven't been able to say that at any point this year. The crowds just haven't been big enough, but I think they're going to try to get, if I'm not mistaken, CMAC, they're going to try to get 25,000 in attendance.
Wow,
for
I didn't hear that.
30. That's what I thought that's what I heard, that the stadium holds about 80 or 90, but they're going to try to get
That's about a third.
30.
Yeah.
Spaced out, of course. They'll be distanced. Everybody will be in their own groups with the people they've come to the game with, but definitely way more people in attendance than at any NFL game previously this season. So this could be one of those games where you see that come into play. Obviously, we know the Kansas City Chiefs offense is prolific. Tampa Bay's defense got better. Will they be able to shut them down? Of course not. Kansas City will still get their points, but I think Tampa Bay is got the ability to do damage here. Brady's really gone to this quick, get the ball out of my hands, quick passing game. It's back to where he's been at his best the last few years. And with Frank Clark and Chris Jones really doing well, getting to the quarterback, especially in the win against Buffalo, that kind of offensive game plan could work for them here. So I just like Tampa Bay here, +3, plus I got +3.5 actually on the Bucks, +3. I still like it at that number. It's not easy to go against Kansas City, no question. But I look at this matchup here as one where I think it could be favorable here for Tampa Bay. We'll have to see how it plays out. Conor, let's get total. By the way, nothing on the total. I think there's value. There is value in the under because 56 is very high. But I am not betting an under with these two quarterbacks. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to wait, see if the game starts slow, maybe in the second quarter, early on. Bet a live over if it's in the high 40s.
Yeah.
That's going to be my approach to the total. Nothing pregame, a live betting opportunity, perhaps. Conor, what's your take on the Super Bowl side and total?
I think you're right with the total. I think there's value on the under. I'm going to have a play on the under. Not huge, but I think this game is an in-game betting game. The Chiefs have been a great in-game bet. When they've been down, I've made some good money on them when they've been down 14, and they did it last Super Bowl. You know what I mean? They were down and had that great. That's what scares me the most in this game, and that's why this is such a difficult kind of handicap to go against the Chiefs. But as you mentioned, the offensive line problems, the only starter that's their normal starter is the center, that they have. So we got a bunch of backups there, but you got Pat Mahomes behind him. So he makes everything, so much better. And like some people say, the Fisher injury, might be overrated, that he's kind of an overrated tackle. I've heard multiple people say that. But I have to say the Bucs D line, especially in the front seven, has been really good. And I think they'll show it tonight a bit because the back end of the Bucs defense is pretty soft, and Bunting, he's made some good plays and jumps and stuff in this postseason, but regularly he's not a very good corner. He's an average, slot corner, decent. I just think the Bucs, I think the game is tight. For some reason, I think it's close. That's why I took that prop +350 will be exactly, +350. Will the game be decided by exactly 3 points? Taking a shot with that. I think somehow this game gets close. And I think the beginning is a slow starter, as we've seen in the past. I don't know, because that's an old Belichick Brady thing, how the Super Bowls stay. But I think it's got to be, because another one of my bets, I'll just bring it up as I'm kind of talking about the side, was I like the Bucs possession because it's part of the game. I kind of talked about it on our show. They have to run the ball and keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands. So I like their time of possession more than the Chiefs. It's at +125. It was for the Bucs. I think that's a good bet if you like the Bucs because they got to run it. They got to do those short passes like you talked about. Brady's got to do the quick drop back, look for his tight ends, and then go deep to Evans and Godwin when he can. So it's very interesting. And from KC side, they just got to beat KC. Pat Mahomes has got to beat Pat Mahomes. Hill's going to get his. Kelsey's going to get his, I think. And it's going to be tough. The one thing I keep going back is like, it's so difficult to repeat as champs. Like, no, I haven't really heard too many people bring that up, but I keep thinking about that. Like, even the Seahawks blew that Super Bowl. All they had to do was hand it to Marshawn Lynch. Like, that it's very hard to win back-to-back Super Bowls. The Patriots did it. I think they're the last ones to do it. The Cowboys I could think of. I don't know. There's just not many. And I know they always say that second Super Bowl's harder than the first. So the game is a good and like you said, this is a great in-game thing. I could see it. Yeah, if the Bucs get out ahead, the Chiefs coming from behind. But if you're looking at the under, I kind of want the Chiefs maybe to get out a little bit because when they get a lead, they kind of slow down and run the ball. It seems like if they're behind, if the Bucs get out quick, then they tack it on, and that could mean an over. Ball start, you know what I mean? So it was like the first game. They jumped out. What was that, 8 weeks ago? or whatever. Like they
It was all
jumped
Kansas
out.
City, and Tyreek Hill went nuts. And I'm going to mention that I
Yeah.
rewatched that game earlier this week.
Okay, did you?
You go
Yeah.
ahead and finish, and I'll mention that after. Yeah.
Mm. I watched just some highlights of it, like
Yeah.
the 5-minute clip, but it was unreal how Hill would burn him so quick in that game. But one thing, they'll take him away. That's why I think this game would be a little bit better. The D line, the Bucs are better, and they're one of the best fronts. That's why the Chiefs, while they have to run it, I don't think they don't need to run it because that Bucs are so good against the run. The one thing is if you get pressure on Mahomes, they have to, because if he has any time to throw, it's over. I mean, he's gonna find these guys left and right, and they got to take away Hill. So I think that means a lot to Kelsey. But like, we take away Hill, what do you say to that? Hill's gonna get his. I think. I mean, like we said, at one point, he's gonna catch one. He's gonna catch a 50-yarder. I
I know
remember last
Tampa's
Super
gonna
Bowl.
work overtime to stop him, but that doesn't mean it's going to work. That's the way I
Yeah,
see it.
I still see him. I mean, a bad game, I still think he gets 100 yards and 5 catches at the least, something like that. So I still think he has a big one. This one's a tough one. I get all the people that are on the Chiefs. I understand it. They've been so good this year. They kind of won it differently. Remember last year they were great against the spread, kind of beat up teams. They had a couple more losses this year, a couple less losses, some tighter games. A little more lax the defense. They played games where they barely covered, or they'd come back and win, kind of Chief style, late field goal. I remember that Carolina game, stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's great. So I still side and total. I lean towards the under, and I'm on the Bucs. Of course, like I said earlier in the week. But for most people, I'd say in game this one, just to get a feel. If you like the Chiefs, roll with them. I don't blame you. I think Brady's got something. I think there's one last thing, and I just think the last point, second meeting, the second game, as you talked about, you went back and watched the first one. I think it's just a little bit different feeling in the second game of playing somebody that you got in there in the first. So that's why I think it's a little closer. And they're home. They're in Tampa. You got to feel good. I don't know. You're just going into your home stadium, whether it's a third full or empty, whatever, packed or whatever the circumstance. They got to feel a little bit better after kind of getting their ass whipped by the Chiefs a bit in that game, that first matchup. So, yeah, I like the under a little bit, but I think it's a great live game betting angle on the side or the total.
Yeah. And now this is, and I'm glad I did this. And I said, I got to take advantage of this. And usually I do. There's a Super Bowl where the teams played during the regular season. I'll go back and rewatch that game in full, not just highlights, in full. And I did that, I believe, on Friday.
Like you did that.
I did that. So here's what I saw. Kansas City was unstoppable in the first quarter. Like, it was just, it's almost like a fighter taking a couple of right in the first round of a fight, and they're almost knocked out, or they're at least on the canvas, and or boxing, this 10 count begins. That's where Tampa Bay was after the first quarter, down 17-0. It was just everything the Chiefs were doing offensively was working. Tampa had no defensive answer to stop it. However, the rest of the game, and I watched this Chiefs offense, they didn't do a whole lot. They scored just 10 points the entire rest of the game, 7 in the second half. That's it for Kansas City. Now, they did have a big lead, but Tampa Bay's defense made some adjustments, figured things out, and Mahomes started to get a lot of pressure. And all of a sudden, he was either incomplete or throwing the ball out of bounds because of the pressure getting home. And all of a sudden, Tyreek Hill was neutralized a little bit. And so the last 3 quarters, you could argue Tampa Bay was the better team in that game against Kansas City. But they fell behind. The first quarter was just so devastating and demoralizing to them that they just dug themselves too big of a hole, and they couldn't come back. And that was with a much healthier Kansas City offensive line. We talked about that, the 3 linemen that are not going to play in this game. And, Vita Vea, by the way, is back at nose tackle for Tampa Bay, and that's why I don't think they're going to run. Hey, they don't run the football a lot or all that well to begin with, Kansas City. And Tampa Bay's run defense it's very difficult to run in between the tackles against that group. It's just very difficult. So I don't see Kansas
Yeah.
City running the ball a lot. This is going to be a controlled passing game. He'll use the short to intermediate passing game with Mahomes as the substitute for the run game. We'll get to that from a prop standpoint in just a bit, but that's what I see happening there. And when you look at the Tampa Bay offense, Tom Brady and the Bucs didn't get it going early. They struggled, a lot of 3-and-outs, and an interception, 2 interceptions where the ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage both times. So I don't want to say, necessarily bad throws by Tom Brady, kind of bad luck. And you got to tip your cap to Kansas City. They ought to teach the D linemen, get your hands up if you can't get to the quarterback. That's exactly what happened. Balls tipped at the line of scrimmage for 2 of those Brady interceptions that he threw in that meeting against the Chiefs during the regular season. So also keep in mind that there was an opportunity before they got it to 17-0 where Mike Evans had a wide open potential, a big play, a deep ball to get the Bucs in the red zone. He dropped it in the first half, and that could have made all the difference in the world as well. The Bucs didn't have Donovan Smith, their left tackle, in that game. They have him now, and they've had him down the stretch, and we've seen that finally that pass protection for Brady get shored up a little bit, in these last few games. So, to me, there's a lot of indicators that from that first regular season meeting, for me at least, doesn't mean it's going to transpire that way today on the field, but there's more indicators for me at least that say Tampa Bay can be a lot better and will be a lot better against Kansas City than Kansas City just duplicating particularly what they did in the first quarter of that first meeting against Tampa Bay. So that's what I saw. I saw a game that was much closer than that first quarter, run out for Kansas City would indicate.
I agree. They just got punched in the mouth, like you said. It just those. I remember watching that. It was just like, whoa. Like, it was just like, what the hell? Like, I mean, Hill just boom, boom, and it was. And then I remember the rest of that kind of that second half, just real boring. And then the Bucs kind of got those late 2 strikes. The offense kind of clicked. I mean, obviously they were playing a little bit of prevent. So I think the Bucs offense is a little bit better. I just don't think it ends. I'd be shocked if it starts out like that again. I'd be floored. I think that's the one thing the Bucs are kind of like. That's why I think this first quarter could be a little bit slower, and that's why it helps the under. And maybe even the first half under is a better look than full game under. We're talking about if you want to look from an underside. Look towards that first half maybe being under. In the second half, they kind of get it going.
Yep, that's definitely a possibility for sure. And that's, again, a prop that usually every year in the Super Bowl, I'm going to bet that prop in terms of second half higher scoring than the first half. No question. It wouldn't surprise me to see that again this year. Speaking of props, it's time to turn our attention toward the props for this game. We talked extensively in depth with analysis with the props on Thursday's show. I'm just going to recap the main ones and briefly state the props that I'm on. This is pretty much the entire list. So here you go. You don't have to ask me. I'm going to also have touchdown score props posted on Twitter later. This is what I'm looking at, and this is what I bet already here when it comes to props. Pat Mahomes over 40.5 passing attempts, which is minus 150. Got to lay a little juice, but I think he gets well into the 40s in terms of how many times he throws the football. I expect a pass-heavy game. He threw it 50 times against Buffalo in the AFC title game. No ground attack. Bucs one of the best at stopping the run. This is going to be, again, short to intermediate passing game, being a substitute for running the football. So I think he's throwing the ball a lot today. Over 40.5 pass attempts for Mahomes. And I went with Mahomes to throw an interception plus 130. I like Brady's interception prop, yes, too. There's probably a good chance he might throw one. Hell, he threw 3 against Green Bay, but you don't get a good price on that. You got to lay a juice with it. Mahomes at plus 130, that's the value to throw an interception because we know the KC offensive line's compromised against this pass rush a little bit today. He can move around. The turf toe is, not preventing him from running, but he's not running at that top level speed, at least not in the Buffalo game he did. If you watch Mahomes running in that game, you could tell he was slowing up and easing up a little bit in that game. So that's something that concerns you a little bit. The Bucs secondary has turned up their, intercepting ways, ball hawking ways, picking off Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers. They forced INTs out of both of them. So that Mahomes, yes, interception prop, plus 130, plus 140, definitely like that. I'm on Hill over receiving yards, but I like the longest reception with him more over 28.5, just in case he's at least somewhat held in check. But again, all it takes is that one big gainer to get the longest reception prop over 28.5. All he needs is one play to get behind the secondary, deep down the field for a Mahomes bomb, which is possible. One play where he makes people miss in the open field, use that sprinter speed that he's got, and all of a sudden, bam, you're looking at a 30-plus yard gain for Tyreek Hill and cashing that longest reception. So I did bet a little on the receiving yards over 93.5 for Hill, but I like the longest reception more over 28.5. So those are a few of mine. Conor, how about a couple of yours prop-wise?
Yeah, I'll give it. Yeah, Ryan Wilson. Yeah, I don't know, Brady. He doesn't got to play perfect, but yeah, I think if he throws 3 picks, it won't be good today. I mean,
no
you could
doubt.
get away
Especially
with one.
in Tampa territory, and you give Mahomes a short field. Yeah, that's disaster if that happens.
Yeah, last week was kind of they were up. He threw them. They were kind of like punts.
Yeah,
his picks. They were long, and those didn't hurt. They were up. And when you throw a ball 40, 50 yards, it was just like a punt. So those picks kind of weren't too bad, against the Packers. Some of the Chiefs, if we're going the Chiefs, I'm on Hardman pretty big in this one. I like him over 2.5 receptions. I like him over 27.5 yards. I think he'll get a rush. I forget the number on that. I think Hill gets
completely on the Hardman, but receptions especially over 2.5. Receiving yards not so much because he catches a lot of these little like 5 or 6 yard little passes at times.
Yeah.
So I think he'll get 3 receptions. The receiving yards can get there too, but I like the receptions even more with Hardman.
Yeah, I think he gets a rush as well. It's just a half. I think Hill can get that too. Hill's is you got to lay a little more to get it. And I like him to score a touchdown. Plus 225. I also like the Hill as well that you named, his yards and catches. I like Kelsey's. It's just high. I think he's a possession guy, but at 9, it's not enough. Yeah, I don't love it that much. I mean, you're saying he's got to get 9 or 10, which he might do. I don't want to lay. That number's not good enough for that. I like the Mahomes INT, and my favorite Mahomes to rush for a touchdown, to score a touchdown. He did in last year's Super Bowl. I see both guys. We'll just talk real quick. I'm going to put a little money on Brady. I think his is 400. Mahomes is plus 250. I think if you bet both those guys, I think you're going to get rewarded with at least one today. And you got 250 with Mahomes and Brady around 400. So I like that on the Chiefs side.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think Mahomes is going to be running it as much as he normally was.
Me either.
But all he needs is that one down around the goal line, because we've seen it. If they have like 2nd or 3rd and goal from the 2 or 3 yard line, a little bootleg, fake the handoff, fake the throw, and he just goes around and gets in. That's all you need is that one attempt from Mahomes down near the goal line, and there's your plus 250 on Mahomes to score a touchdown. So that's definitely why I would think it might still be worth a look here on him. And Brady, look, if the Bucs have it at the 1 yard line at any point in this game, chance for a Brady touchdown with that little dive over the top like Drew Brees does it. Tom Brady does that a lot as well. And you're going to have a chance with that. All right, a couple more props for me. Mentioned Kelsey. It's high, but hard to bet under with him. I like the Hardman over receptions. Here's a defensive one. I didn't bet many defensive props like tackles, but this one stands out. Daniel Sorensen for the Kansas City Chiefs, over 5.5 solo and assisted tackles, which is at minus 150. He's averaging over 6 combined tackles this season. He's got a matchup where he's going to be active in terms of be in a position to make tackles because Chiefs struggle against tight ends. I'm confident Brady in the short passing game, get the ball out of his hands quickly, will involve Cameron Brate and Rob Gronkowski a lot. That means Sorensen is going to be the guy over that middle of the field defending it, making plenty of tackles in that area of the field right over the middle. And you look back at the regular season meeting with the Chiefs and the Bucs, Sorensen had 7 tackles in that game for the Chiefs against the Bucs. He's only got to get to 6 or more here. So I think that's a good one to me. Sorensen over 5.5 tackles.
Yeah, I like it as well. You want to hit I'm going to do the Bucs, guys, since I didn't do that real quick. I just have a few. I think Godwin over 5.5. I think he's the guy. Evans gets the bombs kind of, but he's more possession. He's had some drops too, but I think Brady's been looking to him more as kind of their number one guy, or 1B, because Evans is more just catching a few passes, and especially the bombs. And I like Brady and Gronk. I like them, with receptions. I really like the touchdown. Brady plus 300. I think they get that here in this game. And I like Fournette over 3.5 was plus 110. I bet on that one. And I like, lastly, the team total rushing yards over. I think it was 87.5 I got. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
it's right around that number. It dropped a little because it was 90.5 early in the week. So it's gone down a little.
I think it's 87.5. Tampa's, that's what I have here. 87.5. Tampa, the team total rush over that, because they got to run the ball against Mahomes in this one. And defensive wise, I kind of like just I was going to throw a few bucks on a pick. I told you the Honey Badger, I mentioned that on our last show. Usually I always pick a guy or two, and they've hit. I've had it in the last, get a guy 4 or 5 plus 4 or 500, and that's why the value's kind of been lost in these. He's only like 320, but I'll put a little on that. And I think sacks, we get over the 3.5. I took that earlier last week. I think we get that on both sides. Shaq Barrett and Paul, and the other side with Clark and Jones. I think both teams get a few sacks definitely in this one.
Yeah, I mentioned on the Thursday show, sacks over 3.5. Yes, like that. I like the roughing the passer prop. Yes. I don't think there'll be a boatload of penalties, but roughing the passer, if anyone hits the quarterback late or high to the helmet, they're going to call it for sure. It's Brady, it's Mahomes. You got to protect these two guys at all costs. One's the greatest of all time. The other is going to be the greatest in the NFL at quarterback for the next decade plus. You got to protect them. And the refs, I'm sure, will do that. So, yeah, as I mentioned, the over sacks, the roughing the passer penalty, that there will be one which was plus 100. I think those are good ones to look at for sure. Some more props now. I'm going to get to some Bucks props. Tom Brady over 2.5 passing touchdowns plus 125. I think he can get it.
You're going with that one? Yeah, I haven't bet that one yet. I might, yeah. I thought about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's scored at least 2 touchdown passes in 10 straight. So he's pretty much given to get 2. The question is, can he get 3? And that's, and at plus 125, that's where you're taking the shot a little bit. But I think he can get to 3, because of the fact that he's going to be, getting the ball out of his hands quickly, especially down by the red zone. So there's going to be chances to make those plays down there. He had 3 touchdown passes versus Kansas City when they played during the regular season. And there is a chance the Bucs are behind, in the second half. There is a potential for that. So could you get that backdoor touchdown? Could you get that late touchdown where he's got to be throwing the football, to be able to get the ball? And there's no giving up. There's no waving the white flag. It's the Super Bowl. You're going to, even if you're down by, 10 or 14 in the fourth quarter, you're going to keep going after it if you're Tampa Bay. And that's where, against a prevent defense, just trying to keep everything, in front of them, drive down the field, punch in that touchdown. And if Brady's on 2 touchdown passes at that point, maybe there's your third. So I think it's definitely worth a look here over 2.5 passing touchdowns in that one with that prop. A couple more. Scotty Miller over 15.5 receiving yards, and for him to score a touchdown. He'll be on one of my touchdown props too, at plus almost 300. They rave about Scotty Miller as that Wes Welker type speed guy in this offense that Brady's had in the past. He had the big touchdown catch against Green Bay. I think he can get, over this receiving yards prop, because you wouldn't want Miller over receptions. You want him receiving yards, because all it will take with him is 1 catch, maybe 2 at the most to get there, because he's one of those guys they look for more in the intermediate deep route than anything short. So over 15.5 receiving yards with Miller is a prop that I think has got a good shot. Leonard Fournette over 3.5 receptions. Yes, they throw to him a lot. I know he's going to be running it too, but they throw to him a lot out of the backfield. And he's really routinely gotten to 4 catches. In the playoff games, he's had 14 receptions, Leonard Fournette, out of the backfield in 3 playoff games. So that's an average of 4.6 receptions per playoff game for Leonard Fournette for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So You look at it, 4.6 receptions he's averaging here in the playoffs, and yet his receptions prop is 3.5. So you get 4, that's a winner. And yeah, that's why I think this number should be 4.5, not 3.5. So that's why I think Fournette can get 4 receptions in this game. Conor mentioned the sacks. I'm on that. Conor mentioned the Tampa Bay over rushing yards. I do have a bet on that as well. The rough and the passer I mentioned. Here's a couple game props that I kind of like here. Onside kick attempt. Now,
Okay.
if you want to go really out there for a long shot,
Successful.
you can go onside kick successful attempt, like plus 900 or 950. Like it is a huge price there. I'm just going to play it safe and go with the attempt, which is still a good price, plus 180, on the onside kick attempt. It's worth a shot here in what could be a close game. And even though one of these teams could be down 10 or 14, with about, let's say, 5 minutes left, they drive down the field, they score a touchdown. What are they doing after that with a few minutes left? They're kicking the onside kick. Of course they are, and it's the Super Bowl. You're not giving up until you absolutely have zero hope left in a game like this with a title on the line. So definitely, onside kick attempt plus 180. I think it's a better chance of it happening than the price indicates there. So I like that one. I thought it was worth a shot, worth a bet. Onside kick attempt plus 180. 2-point conversion attempt plus 110. Never before in the NFL have teams gone for 2 after a touchdown more than they are now. Analytics, they go by the books now where they say, oh, this is the time you should be going for 2, plus 110 just for an attempt. Again, doesn't have to be a successful attempt, just an attempt, any attempt by either team, and it cashes at plus 110. So 2-point conversion attempt plus 110. I'm on that. Missed extra point plus 180. Look, Harrison Butker is an excellent kicker, but he's had a bizarre habit of missing extra points, including here in the playoffs, and yet he can make these 40, 50-yard field goals. Ryan Suckup, the Tampa kickers, missed a few extra points this season as well. In fact, I believe he's top 10 in the league out of kickers and missed extra points, Ryan Suckup. So, again, I think this price could be closer to the 140 range than 180 for a missed extra point. So that's another one I like. So those are a few of those general game props outside the player props that I like here for the Super Bowl as well.
Yeah, Mills, we just talked about. Yeah, take Fournette. Yeah, over 3.5. I'm with you. The roughing the passer, the missed extra point we talked about, the 2-point conversion. I looked into the high scoring quarter. I haven't pulled the trigger on that 21.5. So I just see that some of the second quarter might be explosion. I don't know if I'm bet that one because it wasn't good enough. I think it should be like plus 200, and it's only like 130, 140. Will a penalty negate a TD? I might take a shot with that one. It was plus 260. It might be down a little bit now. That was just on the sheet here. And then the game decided by exactly 3 is plus 350. Like if this is a close one, decided by 3 on either team, plus 350. I like it. The roughing the passer, we did that one. The extra point, 2-point conversion. That's about it. Yeah, and the crazy one. Yeah, this is like an onside kick that to be successful is crazy. A plus 900, plus 1,000. You guys put $10 or 20. It can happen. There's been crazier things. It's happened in the Super Bowl. Saints,
Absolutely.
Colts. And this one I looked at real quick. Touchdown be scored on 4th down. So 4th down, whether at the 10 or it's 4th and goal, it was plus 450. That might be a little lower. I haven't bet it yet. I bet you it's 420 now. But on the sheet I'm looking at was plus 450 for that one.
Yeah, and you want teams that are nails on 3rd and 4th down conversions. And, Tampa Bay has been really good when they've needed a play to stay on the field or keep a drive going or, whether that's 3rd down or whether that's 4th down. You want those teams that are good in those areas, those 3rd, 4th down conversion areas. You look at those stats, and that's when you look to see if, that particular prop makes sense, which it might because, these two teams are in the Super Bowl for a reason. They've rolled the dice. They've gone. Certainly, Kansas City has. They don't hesitate to go for it on 4th down. And these two teams have done a pretty good job converting 1st downs and/or in this hopeful case touchdowns on 4th down. So something that's interesting. I hadn't seen that one or thought about it, but yeah, plus 450. Good stuff there. Might be worth a little sprinkle or two.
Yeah, I think that was at its price was good. Oh, one more I forgot to mention. I did take a bet on the over 2.5. Got with the pass. Whether backup goes out, punter, I had to take that one.
Yeah.
I think we might get something like that. I think there's a shot of that happening. So you got to take it at over 2.5. Did you have I'll throw it to you real quick. A couple of these cross sport ones before we're done.
I'm still actually, believe it or not, looking at the. I'm probably not gonna. I looked at the NBA ones, but I wasn't crazy about them, to be honest with you. The one
Okay.
that I'm sticking with, just the one. And again, these are tough to find, and so very, very different. William Hill was really good though with them. They had a great menu of cross sport props. The one, and it's the one I mentioned on
Yeah, I
Thursday.
got it.
Villanova. They're taking
Yeah,
on
I got that one.
Georgetown today. They're minus 12.5 points. Villanova versus total points in the Super Bowl. Villanova's getting 80 today. I'm convinced of it, at least. They might even get 80s or 90s even. They're coming out for blood today against Georgetown because they lost to St. John's. They're a good team off a loss. They have been with Jay Wright for years. Georgetown's defense is brutal. On the road now against an angry Villanova team. And you know the pendulum is going to swing. I think Villanova played their worst offensive game of the season against St. John's in that loss. Nobody shot the ball the way to their season averages, not even close. They didn't shoot
Oh,
as
it's horrible.
to their season averages. You know they'll right the ship. I think they'll right the ship today, and they aren't playing a great defensive team here with Georgetown, and it's on Villanova's home court. I think they're good for 80 at least. And even if they fall to the lower watermark level of that point output, and they get
Still
just
think
80, because they actually scored 80 last year when they played exactly 80 when they played Georgetown last year. Even if they get exactly 80 and not more than that, you're going to need 68 points out of the Super Bowl to lose that bet on Villanova minus 12.5. I don't know if the Super Bowl, there's going to be some points scored, but at 68, that many points
yeah.
scored? I don't know about that. I'm not convinced of that. Obviously, I'm hoping for Villanova to get more into the 80s, because if they get 86, 88, let's say they get 88, then I'm going to need 76 points scored in the Super Bowl to lose that bet. That's not happening, at least in my opinion. 76 points in the Super Bowl, not that high scoring. So I think that's a good one. Villanova minus 12.5 versus total points scored in the Super Bowl. And Villanova will cash that, laying the points. That's the way I see that. So that's really the one cross sport prop, like right away, and that's why I bet it, because right away I looked at it and I'm like, that's interesting to me. That's one I could see happening, and I bet it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I liked it even more how bad Villanova played. I think they shoot way better, and I think they get around 80. I don't know if they cover their 13 or 14.
I
Georgetown's
think they
been
do.
playing a bit better lately. They
No, but I
might.
think they do here, because I just think when you get Villanova pissed off,
We'll see.
and
Yeah.
we'll see. But you're right, it's a big number. But I like them first half. I split it up. I took first half and full game with Villanova, 7.5 and
Yeah.
13.5. I split it up between the two because I think the first half might be even the better option. They come out just throwing haymakers.
Yeah. So I like that one. A couple other ones. I like LaMelo Ball points over total kickoffs in the game. I took that one.
Yes.
And one other one that I think you can make some money is the Phoenix Suns points. What will be more, or Chiefs rushing yards? The Suns aren't the highest scoring team, but I don't think the Chiefs are, I like that bet. Take the Suns points over the Chiefs rushing yards today. Those were my two basketball ones I liked today. Yesterday, I think Steph Curry, I mean, he had a huge game. You're looking good on just beating the Bucks points if you bet that one yesterday. So those were the two NBAs I liked. And I'm kind of looking at Ovechkin's shot on goal. What's the average? About 3.6, I think, a game.
I think you were on to something there. Unfortunately, Connor, the Capitals game's already started.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. That game was at 9. Yeah. Sorry. sorry.
Sorry.
But that would have been one. That would have been one. I forgot that game was that early in the morning. Yeah. I was thinking it was at noon. That would have been one I would have looked at, because he averages like 3.5, 3.8. I think Matthew will have more tackles. I would have took that bet. Yeah, I thought it was at noon. It's my bad. We're running late.
Yeah. There's a bunch of hockey Pacific today.
Yeah, there's a bunch of early NBA too. So get on it. If you're
Yeah,
going
so
to
if you
make these
want those
bets,
cross-sport props, yeah, get on them. Yeah.
yeah, get on them. The NBA starts in about 8 minutes. Some of these games, some of them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to reveal the touchdown score props, but fully because I'll post them on Twitter. I've done that all season, and I don't take the Tyreek Hills and those minus 160 touchdown props. I just
Me
obviously if
either.
they're probably going to win. That these
Yeah.
guys like Hill and Kelsey are going to get a touchdown in this game, but I go for the value. I'm looking at Hardman at plus 200. Mahomes, Conor mentioned that one. Scotty Miller +2. Cameron Brate, man, that's the value. Plus 350. I think they're going to be using the tight ends. The tight ends are going to be involved, guys, I think, on both teams. Kansas City and Tampa, 25th and 27th, respectively, defending the tight end in the NFL this year. So they're in the Super Bowl
Yeah.
despite bad defensive numbers against tight ends. So I think Kelsey has a game, Brate and Gronk. That's why I split my tight end props for the Bucs between Brate and Gronk, because I think Brate, based on recent performance, is going to get more production. But you can't discount the fact that Gronk's been in the Super Bowl before with Brady, been there, done that, produced, had big games in the Super Bowl before. And that's probably something that's not lost on Tom Brady. So you might be able to expect them to be able to make a lot of plays in the passing game in this one today. So that's why I split it up with Brate, I should say, and Gronk in terms of the tight end props. But those are the touchdown score. But Brady as well is worth a little shot as well, because if they're at the 1 yard line, he's going to do the just dive across the goal line touchdown sneak, which is Tom Brady rep in his repertoire, much like it is for Drew Brees. So definitely something to keep in mind there for sure. Before we get to best bet, the best bet, by the way, Conor, can be a prop too. It doesn't have to be obviously the side or total. We'll use a prop as well for best bet if that's where you want to go. But before we give you a best bet to wrap up our final NFL closing time show, I'll throw out a couple college basketball games that I like later today. I mentioned Villanova first half full game. I split it up with those two. I'm on Hofstra minus the points and over with Drexel. The game went over, but Drexel won yesterday. Hofstra's the better team. I think they get them today, laying the 4 against Drexel. Temple, Wichita is a game. Temple's really played faster. Defense is kind of scuffled. That game could get over the total. And I like Boise State minus 4.5 against Nevada. They lost to Nevada in the first meeting. Good bounce back spot for Boise. Remember, they lost to Colorado State first game. Boise came back in the second game and laid the wood to Colorado State. So they've had experience bouncing back in the second game against an opponent after losing the first one. So I think Boise laying the points against Nevada is a good look as well. So that's some college hoops. Conor, some college hoops since we got some extra time, and anything you like there.
Yeah, I got Towson and Charleston. I think he gets over 134. They scored a ton of points yesterday. I don't think they score as much today, but I think we can get over 134. And I'd lean Towson. I had them yesterday plus 3.5. They lost by 2. I barely got there. I'm with you. Boise State, I think they bounced back. They're the better team. That first game, they led the whole way and gave it up at the end and lost by 2. I think they can cover. Just at 5, it's a little. That's about it. That'd be the line. I'm going back. I got to take Cal with 11. They either cover the second game here. I got to roll with it. I like Southern Illinois catching 8. And that's about it, college basketball wise.
Yeah.
Oh,
definitely.
I like Coppin. Sorry, Coppin and Norfolk. I like that over the total.
Yeah. Those are two fast-paced teams, good offensively, not the greatest defensively. I could see that going over the total. It's already been bet up. 48, to 151. So,
wow,
yeah.
I got it. Yeah, 148. Yeah.
But I agree with that. It's probably the right move going over the total with that one. All right, we will give you our Super Bowl 55 best bets in just a second. Before we do, Conor, word from our sponsors. Our final sponsor, our final public address announcement or public service announcement here on the NFL Closing Time Show.
Yeah, we got a new one. I don't know. I don't have the whole sheet yet, but we go to Manscaped. Shave all the hair you can get off yourself. Get some ball deodorant.
But that's a good
Get
product.
the ball deodorant and everything else, but you get 20% off Hood Pub Sports. I'll have the full thing, the full write-up here shortly, but 20% off your order. And other than that, go to mybookie.ag at promo code Pub Sports. Get it for the Super Bowl. They got a ton of props, 50% off debit or credit, 100% off your Bitcoin. Use the Bitcoin. You can put 1,000. They give you 1,000, minimum 100. So you at least put 100 in, and you get the 100 back. And go to bulksupplements.com. Get all the vitamins, protein, all that shit to get you jacked up for the workout before the Super Bowl. So bulksupplements.com. That's it.
All right. So we'll recap side total and best bets. And the best bet for me will be a prop. Side Tampa Bay plus 3.5. Although it's what I bet. It's 3 now. I still recommend it at 3. Look, I think the Kansas City offensive line issues are significant against a pass rush that's just rolling right now for the Bucs. That's going to be, I think, a key factor in this game. I think clearly the improvement in the Bucs offense is significant. Going back and looking at that regular season game makes me like Tampa Bay even a little bit more. Seeing that 17-0, the game was really Tampa Bay was a lot better after that. And when in that first quarter, when the game got away from them, couple of interceptions by Brady, both of the balls, not necessarily bad decisions, bad throws by Brady in that first regular season game against Kansas City, but rather tip balls at the line of scrimmage. Nothing he could have done about it. Just one of those situations where a little bit of bad luck, unfortunately, for the Bucs. So I think they get the job done here today. It's again, if Kansas City wins and covers, it's of course no shock to me. They're a great football team, capable of repeating, but and can't also sleep on the fact this game's in Tampa. It's going to be a little bit at least. You have to factor in some kind of home field edge here for the Bucs. There'll be more Buck fans than Chief fans. They'll be loud when the Chiefs have the football. And again, with the backup tackles, backup guards, communication could get screwed up. And if you got fans making noise, it's going to make it even more difficult. So Tampa Bay plus 3.5. Total, I lean over, but it's 56 is a high number. I'm going to wait, see if it starts slow and bet it live in game. And my best bet prop for this game, I'm going to see. Let's see if I want to make it a good. Leonard Fournette over 3.5 receptions, minus 140. I don't know if that number's gone up, but he's got 4.6 receptions in the playoffs per game, and he's pretty much been good for averaging at least 4 catches. All he needs is 4, with the number being 3.5. So for me, Leonard Fournette over 3.5 pass receptions, minus 140 will be my best bet prop for Super Bowl 55. Conor, side total and a best bet for the game.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Bucs. Take the points. I'm gonna take money line. I'm gonna split it up both, and mostly money line. I think if they win, they win. And I like the under. We'll see. We could see a shitload of points. I don't know, and the Chiefs could win. I think it's gonna be a good one. I'd rather go with the dog here. Catch the plus money at home. I think it'll be a good game. I can't wait to watch it. And my best prop, I'll give one that's not, obscure. Since you went with Fournette over 3.5, that was good money. I got this. It might be minus like 105 now. Is Hardman over 2.5 catches? I got it at even money. I thought it was a bargain.
Yes.
I think I think he gets over 3, kind of like the Fournette. I think he catches over 2.5. That should be an easy casher tonight. So
all right, there we go. Best bet prop for Conor. Mecole Hardman over 2.5 receptions, right around even money. Yeah, plus 100, minus 105. It's in that vicinity. It's in that range. So there we have it. And with that, we sign off for the final time on the NFL closing time show. It's been a great NFL season, fun season. We'll miss NFL football. It's hard to believe now. We got to wait now till September, but you don't have to wait to see us again. We're back tomorrow. NBA closing time show. Conor, Ski, and myself, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Reminder, just to make sure you're all aware, we've still got lots of great shows for you in basketball coming up throughout the next several weeks and months. NBA closing time show 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And then we have the college basketball closing time show Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, plus the Saturday college basketball closing time show at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. So we've got lots of great NBA and college basketball content coming up. My NHL Play of the Day videos will continue here at Pub Sports Radio throughout the NHL season. So there's lots of stuff. We've got the MMA guys doing UFC shows, particularly during live cards. They did one last night. Boston Nick Moe and the crew. Good stuff. Thanks,
Ian, we
guys.
got pub culture. Remind them that we got
Yeah,
a second
exactly.
channel.
Yeah, pub.
Second channel.
I should. You're right, because I've seen that now. We've got pub culture, just more culture, entertainment,
Yeah.
lifestyle, type of content there. All the stuff that I don't pay much attention to be honest with you.
Me.
I'm just so this business and industry and doing this really takes so much time, and it just leaves you, unfortunately, not a whole lot to focus on other areas. But it's good content. Check it out. Pub culture YouTube channel for sure. Be sure to tune in and support that content and those good shows as well. So with that said, it is time to sign off. For Conor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Eat a shit ton, drink a shit ton, smoke a shit ton too if you're into that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, of course. I stick to the eating and drinking part. The smoking, no, it's too late for me to start now, unfortunately. But hey, if you're into that, I got no problem. Most of my friends are friggin' into that, so yeah, I'm all around them. They're just they go outside, do their little smoke session, and I just wait for them. That's the way it goes for me over the last several years. But good stuff, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Like I say, eat a lot, drink a lot, hopefully win a lot, cash some tickets, enjoy Super Bowl 55. Have a great Sunday. Thanks for watching the Pub Sports Radio NFL Closing Time Show all season long. We'll see you again tomorrow for the NBA Closing Time Show right here on Pub Sports Radio.